What is going on, guys? It is Motobike Mike, and tonight's special guest is the Moto Jawn. So, Moto Jawn, tell us about your channel.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So sure if anybody's stopped by or tuned in. Of course, always riding around Philly, talking motorcycles, trying to meet up with people, checking out, just random sights and seeings around the Philly area. It's always a good, always capturing some good content in the Philly area. People like to see Philly. Always like to talk a little trash on it and all that good stuff. So always makes for a good time. Posting pictures and everything over on Instagram. So yeah, it's a good time talking bikes, checking out Philly.
So, how is it riding a bike through Philly? So, I was originally from Delaware, and I remember driving a car in Philly, and I could barely get through that without having like a panic attack. How is it riding a bike through Philly? The roads were horrible when I lived there.
Yeah, I mean it's brutal. I think I remember you mentioning that. What part of Delaware were you in?
So it's basically Wilmington, Delaware, a suburb of
Oh, right, right,
Philly.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's not far at all. But man, so the roads in this city. I mean, in the downtown center city area, it's just brutal. A lot of the roads in the Northeast too, because of the temperatures. The heat and the cold throughout the different seasons gets so drastically different. And then just the trucks, the wear and tear on them. I mean, you got to be when you're on a motorcycle, you got to be super heightened with that like sense of awareness to be always scanning ahead. Because man, I tell you what, like I've hit some potholes around here that literally I thought was either going to destroy the bike or throw me off the bike. So, I mean, it's crazy, but you just got to kind of stay aware, focusing on the road, what's coming up. But that's like I kind of always say in my videos, I'm always looking to kind of ride more out of the city for a lot of for that reason, actually, just trying to get out of the city, out to the country, a little bit nicer roads. Don't have to worry about, smashing things up so much. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, city's a little rough, but kind of make do with some of these city rides. They're fun sometimes, but I mean, I definitely would prefer to get out of the city.
yeah, every time you take Kelly Drive, I'm like, man, I remember going like there with my dad, and I remember
Oh,
like
you've
a
been on
kid.
it?
Yeah, so yeah, I used to go visit, and I haven't been on it with
Mm-hmm.
my bike, but every time I watch one of your videos, I'm like, I know where he is. I've been there before. Like my whole childhood, my dad would take me to Philadelphia, like the Art Museum, Kelly Drive.
Yeah.
Was it Boathouse Row?
Yeah, man, you nailed it.
And then like when you go to Brandywine, I know exactly where you are because that K rail, that concrete rail that's like all fancy with rocks. I'm like, that's where all the money is. Like that is the fancy part of like outside of Philly. That's like where
Yeah.
everybody leaves for the day and goes home.
No, yeah, that's so true. But yeah, Kelly Drive. That's so funny that you recognize it, and you see it all the time because I feel like I film on it too much because it's like just one of the quickest, easiest ways to get out of the city. So every time I'm filming,
You're always there.
I just made another video on there. I guess everybody's just gonna have to deal with that scenery again. But
Well, it's either that or you take 95 and you're stuck in traffic.
right, yeah, man,
So
that's the thing. Like I'll always pop out on Kelly because it's just so fast and so quick to like get. It's one of the only ways to kind of really get out of the city there. So it's kind of like my quick escape to get out.
have you ever took your bike down to the Naval Yard? Are you able to get down there as a with the bike?
Yeah, yeah, I've been down there several times. So to get there, you pretty much just go straight down Broad Street, and then for people that aren't in Philly, Broad Street's like historic Broad Street cuts the city pretty much right in half, but it runs straight down into South Philly. Goes past the stadiums, Lincoln Financial, what the baseball field, Citizens Bank, and then you just keep going right into the Navy Yard. And there's a lot of crazy stuff down there. I mean, I've gotten some pictures of the bike and everything. You can pull up right next to these old naval ships, which makes for good pictures. One of the more recent videos I've made, I was actually down there talking about the suspension.
Right.
I was down there and he took a quick, kind of pass at some of the ships and stuff. Would be cool to actually do a little bit of a longer highlight of that, actually, because it's pretty crazy the kind of stuff that you could see down there.
Yeah, isn't that old cruise ship still there? Is that finally gone? The SS Mary or something? I can't remember. That
Um,
really old cruise ship that's just been sitting there for years, deteriorating.
There's like, so there's a bunch of them. That's the crazy thing, is there's like 7 or 8 of them that are just kind of sitting there. And yeah, you can just kind of get right up next to them. I think one of them might be S John Kennedy or something like that. But yeah, no, they're all just right there and all, like you said, kind of deteriorating off the side.
So I don't know about anybody else, but I watched your latest video drop about the Road King,
Mhm.
and I had like a little heart palpitation. I was like, "Oh no, he got rid of the Sportster! Don't do it!" So I was glad it was just a test ride. So you liked it. It's definitely a travel bike, and the brake pedal I know is weird. I tried one too.
Yeah. Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Yeah, it took a lot to get used to. I was out for a little while, and I still like just don't even think I was quite used to it. But yeah, the floorboards, just kind of like the way that the seat kind of like pushed my legs out a little bit farther, because obviously, like the Sportster is super slim, it's so narrow. But yeah, it took me a while to kind of get used to like the seating position, getting the feet up on the boards, trying to find the shifting peg and that pedal. I kept trying to like press down on the floorboard, thinking I'm hitting the brake and I'm not hitting anything. I don't even think I was like using the rear brake most of the time. But yeah, I mean the Road King, I mean it's a cool classic bike. The regular Road King, I don't think it's for me necessarily. I would look more probably at a Road King Special, but I mean that's one of the things that I just really want to get more into is trying out all different kinds of bikes, different styles, and just kind of seeing what all's out there really.
yeah. Well, like when I test drove the Road King, I when I put my foot on the floorboards, I was like, this is weird because I'm so used to pegs. Like I'm not used to having like a flat surface.
Exactly.
It kind
Yeah.
of like freaked me out. I was like, I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna tip this over. Like when I get to a red light, I had to like move over and down.
Yeah. It wasn't even so much the weight that I thought was going to like bother me so much. It was really just kind of like the position of my feet.
Yeah, definitely the position and shifting's a little weird too. Like my friend Andy has the Road Glide Special, and
Mm.
he has the heel shifter, and that's a whole different like. So it's like you're like front and then back to go down. I'm like, that's too much for me. He's like, well, I used it my whole life. It's like I had to have it. I'm not used to that whatsoever. I tried one of those out on a demo day, and it was not for me. I guess it's like one of those things. Like if you get used to it, you can do it. But I was like, this bike's heavier than the Sportster. I don't want to take the chance.
Yeah, it was. So this one had the heel shifter as well, and I didn't even bother like messing around with it. I was just using the front the whole time. Um, but yeah.
So you changed your suspension. You've done the stage one. And is there any other plans for your bike?
That's a good question. So I don't know. I think suspension was kind of one of the last things on my list, other than, yeah, I can't really think of anything else that I want at this point in time. I've done, cafe fairing gives it a cool look, the lighting, exhaust, tuner, air, seat, all the standard stuff, sissy bar. But I don't know. I think I'm set on modifications for a while. I don't think I would do anything to it until, if I were to get another bike, for example, then I think what I would do would probably just like strip it all down and turn it into like just some shitty rat rod.
Right.
Wrap the pipes, like strip a bunch of stuff off of it, bob it or something, chop it, just throw some straight pipes on it or something, and just turn it into something that I would probably never ride more than like 20 miles.
Yeah, I could see doing that. And one day I probably will buy another bike and then another bike and another bike. But for right now, the Sporty's mine. Like I'm still paying for it, so it's not like I want to trade it in because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
lose anything. And I know the whole, well, in your first year of the Sportster, if you were to trade in for another bike, we'll give you its retail value. But I'm like, yeah, but all the parts and blood, sweat, and tears you're not going to give me, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
But
yes, I could have done that with mine, and I was like really looking at a street bob, but then I was like, you know what? I mean, being here in like Center City, Philly, like I don't have a garage. I always say that, and like I just can't justify. I just can't justify having like it, it's probably going to end up being like $16,000 $17,000. I just can't justify. Ended up having that sitting out on the street.
Yeah, I'd be worried someone steal it.
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing. But yeah, I mean hopefully I'd like to get a garage someday, and then that's when we start. That's when we start really racking up the additional bikes.
So how do you do it in the wintertime? Do you still leave it outside, or you have like put it somewhere?
No, yeah. Luckily, I have a couple good friends that actually have garages in the city.
Okay.
So that's been pretty helpful over the years. When it comes to that time that like, it's looking like late November, early December, first couple snows are coming, then I'll usually put it away. But if they're usually close enough that it gets nice out or something like that, I can pop over, pull it out if I need to. But yeah, luckily I've got a couple good friends here in Philly. Let me rent some space in their garages.
That's good. Yeah, because I remember like the snow, and then like I felt bad for you. Like I know it's sitting outside, but I was like, man, if the Phillies or the Eagles like win the Super Bowl or World Series, Philly goes nuts and they just start throwing stuff. I was like, that poor Sportster's sitting out there.
Man, so I was actually thinking about that last summer when things were getting like crazy with protests and all that. Philly kind of really lit up with a lot of that, and I was like, oh my god, the thing is just sitting out there on the sidewalk, like open to the elements, like anything could happen. But luckily it was safe.
And you had somebody try to steal it recently, didn't you? It's like a security footage.
Oh no! So that was actually my downstairs neighbor. So I'm in a condo building, and there's 3 different apartments. And so last summer, the guy downstairs actually bought a brand new 2020 Scout, and so that was his that actually got stolen. And so if anybody's riding Scouts out there, apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently they don't come with a fork lock, I guess. And so that night, sometimes he would cover it, sometimes he would, put a disc brake on it. He was just being lazy that night, and he just, he ran inside, never covered it up, never locked it. And so the next day I wake up and he's out there talking to the police, and I was like, oh, this is not good, man. So yeah, we had the camera footage of the guy that came up and just wheeled it right away. But actually, follow up to that, he actually found his bike in Philly 2 weeks later, leaning up against a wall.
That's insane. And was like anything like taken? Like they strip it?
No, everything was there. There was a couple scratches. You could tell, where the guy had probably leaned it up against the wall, or maybe kind of like tipped it over or dropped it. But they're pretty much assuming, like you could tell when the guy walked away with it on camera, that he didn't really know what he was doing. But so the guy, he just took it. Hours later, he was probably just like, what am I going to do with this bike? I can't actually sell this or figure out what to do with it. So he just dumped it. And the guy was my neighbor was walking his dog, and he just came upon it and was like, hey, that's my bike, just leaning up against the wall in Philadelphia. And then he just took it and brought it back home.
Yeah, like the first time today, I took my bike out with a new Sports Shield because I just replaced it. And the new Sports Shield, when I actually put the correct one I originally wanted to buy on, leaps and bounds different. Like there's hardly any wind noise in my helmet now. It's not hitting me like in my neck, and so it was cool. And I left my GoPro, the front camera, on my bike, and I was like, you know what, let me just try this. And I know Setzer Pendants has said like people will steal your stuff, and like a couple of people have GoPros ripped off, but I left it on. But I was outside the UPS store, and I had eyes on it the whole time. Nobody bothered it, but it was like that one time. It's like, I'm not going to do this again, but I just want to do like an experiment just to see, because I left it rolling. So I was like, maybe if somebody did come up to it, I have some footage. Nah, not my luck.
Yeah, I was watching the windshield thing. What is the difference between the two? I thought they looked fairly similar. So what is the main difference?
The main difference is actually the size. And
is it bigger?
Yeah, it's actually got a larger surface area. So it's like 3 inches taller and 2 inches wider. But when I thought about it and I measured it, it didn't really look that big. When I so I ordered the original one and I put it on and it was all right. And I was like, well, how much could 3 inches up and two to the left and right? It made a huge difference. Like there's no buffeting whatsoever under my arms. Like motorcycle with Carl was right. Like that's that sports shield. If you don't want a fairing on a Sportster, that's a decent one to get. And
Interesting.
and Memphis Days was nice. They gave me like five. It was like 5%. I was like, look, I messed up. I ordered the wrong one. You guys have two of them named Dell something. And like when it was 3 a.m. when I processed my order because I couldn't sleep because of everything going on, I was like, I ordered the wrong one. I already put it on. Like, well, you can't return it. I was like, can you do anything for me? And they said, I'll give you 5%. I was like, fine, I'll take it. I was like $3 or whatever, and it was free shipping. So I was like, can't really argue. I'll take it for the win. So I have one now on my wall of parts that I don't know if you keep your old parts, but I have like a wall of parts for my bike. If I ever gets traded in, I don't know why I keep them. People tell me to save the parts. I don't know. I'm not keeping my exhaust. I might just sell the stock exhaust. But that's my next project. Is I have the entire Screaming Eagle Stage 1 kit, like the tuner, the pipes, the air cleaner, the whole thing.
Was that the one
with the dent in it?
No, I was gonna say, is that the one that you were like waiting on forever for?
Yeah, so I've been waiting on these slip-ons since I ordered it in March. So it's been like 5 months, and they were on back order. And I don't even have the tips for the ends, so it's just gonna be a straight pipe. Like the muffler will be there, but I won't have like the tip to like complete the look. That's on back order till September. And I'm like, I can't keep waiting for this. So at least I have the full Stage 1, because with tuner, I can't just click a box for air cleaner. I have to have it all with the Harley Davidson thing. I just set this thing up. It is so antiquated. I'm going to make a video about it. It is so old. And like, if you look at it, it looks like AOL dial up to connect the tuner to the bike when it connects. It is so bad. Like, how is it? It is like 2021 and it looks so outdated. Like, I know the Vance 9 fuel pack's a great system, but my dealer's not that cool about aftermarket stuff, and it's the closest one. So I didn't want to take the chance in messing with it.
Huh. You didn't yeah, the Vance and High stuff was pretty good and simple for me. I didn't even really consider like even the Screaming Eagles type stuff. Were you worried about like warranty and stuff?
Yeah, because if I'm going to take this out, so say I go to like, I was debating before my career had issues going in September to the Evil Knievel Museum in Topeka, Kansas. Well, if something happens between here and there and I'm running something that's not Harley approved, I guess it's dealer to dealer whether they want to waive it or they'll blame it on the fuel pack or they'll blame it on my air cleaner, even though it's not a Harley part. Like that's the risk we all take.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of like, I don't know. I don't know if it's dealer to dealer, but I guess they could tell you all different stuff. It's got to be like formally documented somewhere within the paperwork, because the way that I understood it was that like just like slip-ons, for example, any brand of slip-on like would not void your warranty. I've heard things that like if you did like a full exhaust because it went all the way up into the header into the engine, then maybe that would, or like if you do mess with the tune and the ECU, maybe that would. And then I've also heard that it would only void things that went wrong with just the part that you changed out yourself, for example. So I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff floating out around there. Like, if something went wrong with like, I don't know, like the frame or something, but you had a different tune on it, then that shouldn't affect, what went wrong actually.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know how accurate some of that stuff is.
Well, I know it's like, at least here, when I asked, I was like, can I put a Vance 9 fuel pack? When I brought it in for the 1K, they said you can, but as soon as we plug it in, we're going to scan your ECU and we'll be able to tell, and then Harley's going to know. And they're like, I recommend just getting the Screaming Eagle one if you want to have any hopes of like extending your warranty and that type of stuff. And I was like, all right, then I'll do that, because that's my hope. Like once that war runs out, then rip that off and put something else on. But yeah, like slip-ons, that's one thing. The air cleaner, they can give you some crap about that. Like, I guess if it was machined wrong or something got sucked in and it wasn't a Harley part, maybe they won't cover it. But their ECU stuff is like a enigma. It's like they want to like because they have to be carb compliant too. Like I open the box for everything. There's so many carb stickers. It tells me I have to put it in this battery compartment. It was just crazy when I opened it up this afternoon.
Dang. And it took so long just to get it.
Well, like I said, I had everything but the slip-ons, and then I opened the slip-ons, and one of them has a dent in it, and I'm like, why is it dented? And somebody had mentioned that's a Harley tech, the rear to clear the axle nut. And I'm like, all right. I held it up and I looked and I'm like, well, why is the stock one not dented? It makes no sense. And it's like, it's smaller too. I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. Okay, it's supposed to be there because I took it up to my dealer. Like, yeah, that's a machine dent. It's supposed to be there. I'm like, I have no idea why.
Huh. Yeah,
This
I don't know. I just kind of, I rolled with it. I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't think anything.
Roll the dice.
So yeah, it's a freaking Sportster. I don't think anything's going to go wrong with this.
Yeah, and there's so many at my dealer when I go into that have like the weirdest modifications, like the turn signals are like something I saw at like Pet Boys. It's like the craziest stuff I've seen. It's like you can do almost anything you want to a Sportster. I don't know about the Sportster S. Like I'm still debating on that. Like if I'm gonna see it in person, if I'll test drive it. Might be something I look into in the future, but I'm not gonna like rush out to go buy it or trade.
Yeah, no, I definitely like intrigued by it. I don't think I would ever personally want one or want to own one really, but I definitely want to take it for a test ride.
Definitely, I want to feel the power, but I'm like, man, I can't get over the sound of it. Maybe if it had pipes on it, it'd be a little better.
I think just from like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem very like functional to me. You know, I'm all about having like the sissy bar, just like strap a bunch of shit to your bike and just, you know, take off for a couple of days. And it doesn't seem like it kind of serves that purpose.
So Road Rash has an Iron 1200 like we do. I just can't remember his year. It might be 2020 or 2019. He can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, he says he's having a problem with his front brake switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had
a warranty claim yet.
I haven't had anything. Well, actually, I had my belt guard busted off, which was kind of strange.
Wow, okay.
But that's the only thing that's gone wrong with my bike so far.
Okay.
Those damn Philly streets busting off parts of my bike.
I can't imagine. So I got to ask, you're in Philly, so Patch Geno's or Tony Luke's? Or is there something else? What's your cheesesteak?
Well, I would say Jim's on South Street.
Jim's
is probably my go-to. A lot of people knock Pat's and Geno's as being like the kitschy, touristy type places, but Pat's is actually really good. And actually, in classic Philly style, I don't know if this made the national news, but in classic Philly style, someone was shot and killed during a fight at Pat and Geno's the other night. So that's Philly for you. I guess people getting in fights at the cheesesteak place, killing each other. But so yeah, I mean those are like the commercial, like touristy type places. But Pat's is actually pretty good. But yeah, I mean a lot of people will tell you like Jim's on South Street, a place called Delisandro's. Is kind of what you get as the top cheesesteaks, is what a lot of people say sometimes. So
do you have a like any long trips? Are you going to get out of Pennsylvania? Try to take it out further?
So I was just up near Erie, PA, like by like Lake Erie. I was up into New York. That was like 2 weeks ago. So that was a pretty long trip. That ended up being about 1,200, 1,300 miles round trip across PA up into New York. So that was a good one. But I actually just got a new job, so I'm kind of not really able to take much time off now. So it's pretty much going to be, weekenders or, quick day trips from now on. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get too far out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's hard like with and like I'm worried like they're talking about restrictions again where I live because the cases of COVID are out, and I'm like, oh, not again. Because
In
then all the cool,
Texas?
yeah, well, my county in particular, because I'm near the army base, it's like blown up. Like every hospital's full again.
Oh wow.
And I recently, about a week and a half ago, I went to a party and I thought it was everybody. I knew everybody. It wasn't anything weird. It was like a kid's birthday party. We were all outside. And then my wife gets a text message. Somebody at the party had COVID, tested positive. Shut the house down. I'm like,
Oh man.
again? All right, fine. I was like, can I still take my bike out? Because I social distance. I go to the gas station. I fill it up. I'll buy my own drinks and then I'm shipped to the house. She's like, you can still do that. I'm like, all right. And knock on wood, we're in the clear now. We've been through the 14 days. I had my vaccination, but it was like more our son. Like he couldn't go to art camp because that's what he loves to do. He loves to paint, and that's what stinks about living where if I lived in Philly, he'd be like artistic everywhere. Like he'd paint the wall somewhere, nobody would care.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just they're talking about doing the mask and maybe some more restrictions. I don't know. Yeah,
Oh man, and I didn't think Texas cared about anything.
we care about our guns, our beer, and our oil. That's like the main three.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that sucks. That I know they. I don't think that they haven't really explored it too much here yet, from what I've heard. But it's kind of like that. It's kind of like on standby. You know, it's like seems
Yeah,
like it
definitely
could be popping up again.
Yeah, but I gotta keep. We gotta both keep up with motorcycle with Carl. On his videos because he's got the same bike. It's hard to.
Oh yeah.
He just joined the chat. That's why I brought it up. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I think my next mod after this would probably be suspension, definitely, especially if I have to take a commute because I'd have to go to. It's like I'm in the second round of interviews with one job, and if I have to drive to Austin every day, that's gonna be a little rough on the stock suspension. I like get really old really quick because it's like 70 miles one way.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be all highway, so it's like taking 95 to basically. So it'd be Philly, 95. So 95
Close to New York.
Yeah, New York. I was thinking Baltimore, like that far.
Would you commute that much on it? You have a car?
No, so that's the funny part. I got rid of my car to buy the bike, so I had a lease, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Hey, we talked about getting a motorcycle. Can I turn in my lease and not get anything else?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Nothing like this is during COVID. And what happened was it wasn't anything I did wrong. It was like I work for a health insurance company and things didn't go as well as we wanted and they had to make cuts and IT was the biggest department with budget. So that's what happened. So I would be riding my bike and obviously I will be vlogging this venture if this does pan out and they'll make a lot of interesting content going into Austin every day. For a while, but yeah, I'd eventually buy a car.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love riding, I don't think I could commute 140 miles round trip.
I'd have to
on a Sportster.
I'd have to fill up every day. I told my wife I'm either filling up on the way home or the way back. On the way down,
yeah, almost. Yeah, at least.
I would actually. I might do
maybe twice a day.
I might do a video like fill it up in the morning to see if I can make it down and back to work without running out of gas.
Ooh,
I'll keep a reserve. Yeah,
that would be tough. Tough.
Yeah, I'd have to milk it. Like have to ride behind a tractor trailer like for like at least 40 miles, no ridden resistance.
Yeah, I don't think I've taken mine past like 102 miles without filling up.
So I did it the other day. Actually, I filled up this morning. 114 was what I did. The gas light came on at 108 now. It used to come on at 100, which I thought was weird. But now
the crazy thing here is like Philly and this city traffic, I can seriously run out of gas at 70 miles. I mean, because
I don't believe
the stoplights, the traffic, the stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. I've had my light come on at like 55 miles before.
Yeah, I can see where you can fill it up, Road Rash. It's easy.
It eats it up like crazy.
100 miles is my fill up. Oh, man. As much as I hate to say it, but yeah, I'm going to be riding my bike, at least for the first couple weeks. Now, granted, Texas has a little bit nicer weather longer than Philly does. 'Cause we
True,
don't
true.
we only got that snowstorm in February. That was like a freak of nature, and in Texas, like nobody went anywhere.
Oh
So
yeah,
for
everybody's like
that,
shut down.
yeah. But yeah, I could see me doing that for a while, and then eventually buying a vehicle, and then maybe take it down like 2 days a week just to get it out.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Maybe like,
But I have a different seat. So I bought the Saddlemen Explorer seat because I was really torn between your step up seat and the Explorer, and I compared the two. And when I did the numbers, like the rear you had to pay extra for the gel for the step up, whereas the Explorer you didn't have to, and it was a
mhm.
little cheaper. And I actually find it comfortable. It says it's rated to 500 miles. I haven't tested that like in one sitting, so maybe I should, but I'd have to fill up 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, so I did. When I did this last trip just a couple weeks ago, I broke the way out there. I broke it up and cut it in half, but the way back, I did it all in one shot, and that was close to 400 miles in one day. And I mean, so you figure that's stopping like every, like just like we said, every 90 to 100 miles. That's going to be stopping every like hour 15, hour and a half or so. But yeah, man, I mean, the seat, I don't know. The new suspension definitely was better than when I had done some longer trips before. But yeah, I mean, it gets to you no matter what. No matter like we always say, like, the Sportster can do it. It's just a matter of like how long is the person gonna hold out. Like when I got back after that 400 miles, like I was beat up.
Yeah.
Like I'm hitting bumps on the PA Turnpike going like 80 miles an hour after already being on the bike for like 7 hours, and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, I got to get off this freaking thing.
Plus, you have all your gear on your bike too, so like
Yeah, I
all
got
your
the
camping
bag, and I'm
extra
like
weight.
geared up because I'm on the highway and stuff. And I'm like, oh. So then you get 10 miles outside Philly, and then of course you just get into standstill traffic on the highway.
How's that do in stop and go traffic in Philly? Like, does it get really hot? Because I know mine heats up pretty well in Texas. Just traffic around my house. I can't imagine Philly.
Oh yeah, man. When like some of these hot, humid summer days up here in the city, when I'm like stopping and going through the city and stuff, it'll heat up real quick, and I'll actually start to get this like little bit of a whistle going. It'll be like I can hear it, and I know that's when I need to like get off this thing because it's like getting pretty hot.
Wow, over 300 in a day, Carl, on stock shocks and seat. My back was out for a week. I can't
Yeah,
imagine a stock seat. I couldn't go more than 60 miles on that thing. I was like, this is awful, but it felt comfortable in the showrooms. That's why I went with it.
So honestly, I didn't think the stock seat was that bad. I thought it was a little cushy.
Compared to the 883 seat, it was like leaps and bounds better. But as I like started to like use the Bung King crash bar and like stretch out, it just like the angle of my
yeah,
it did not sit too well after like 60 miles. It was like aching. And now with the Saddleman seat, it's like so much better. But if I had to choose between like never getting a seat, I'd definitely take the 1200 seat again.
Yeah,
I actually 883.
I kind of liked that stock seat on the 1200, but I mean, who's gonna leave stock seat on their bike? So I just like the look of the step up. I like the look of the step up seat so much that even if it was like not comfortable, I would still probably want it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that the suspension, Carl, definitely is key. Like, I think if I do take the job in Austin, I will be looking at one of those days, putting something on. It's just like, how much do I want to spend on a suspension? Because you can get crazy with this. Like some of these suspensions for sports cars, like $1,400 for like the top of the line Legends suspension. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. That's like,
oh yeah,
crazy. Okay.
Yeah, I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry to cut you off, but Chase had a question for you. When are you going to race?
Ooh, what are we racing?
I don't know. You're going Sportster?
Sportster Bolt. I think I got his old Sportster. Maybe not the Bolt. See
I
what he
don't know.
says.
Yeah, see what he says in a minute.
But no, yeah, you're right though. That suspension can get crazy. I mean, honestly, I that progressive 412 that I put on mine was like one of the cheaper ones, and it's still, still made a huge difference. So, I mean, yeah, some of that even more expensive stuff would just probably be even better and better.
Yeah, it's just like what, like it's like ROI, return on investment. Is it worth the 49? It probably is. It's like my Shoei helmet. Like I put on like a cheaper, like HJC helmet, and then my wife's like, she's like, put the Shoei on. You keep looking at it. I'm like, yeah, but it's like 800, like 700 or $800 with the shield I wanted. And well, that was with the Senna in it and everything, so it was like a package. And I was like, yeah, but it's so expensive. Just put it on. So I put the helmet on. I was like, I'm not gonna take it off now. I'm buying it. And she's like, I was like, maybe that's one of those things like with the suspension, it's worth the cost. It could be. I mean, like I came from a car culture where everybody slammed their cars and put suspension in. There was some value to that to a point, like if you're road racing. But maybe like you said, the cheaper suspension probably would still be good for me.
Oh yeah, makes a big time difference. I mean, mine was the progressive 412s are like only like $350.
At least, hey Carl, for me, test rides, they'll let me test any bike I want. I'm just not allowed to use my GoPro at the moment. They're trying to change that. I don't know. The Moto Jawn
Really?
seems, yeah, it's a more of a liability thing. So I had talked to them about my channel because there's another guy where I close by that I live, 9 Mils on Two Wheels. He's a member of the Hog chapter as well. I am too. I've never I've signed up for it, paid my dues. I just never went on a ride because just trying to find the time to do it. They said they would let me, like, I can go in and test drive a bike if I was interested in it, but recording it's a different story because it's a liability for them. Because I guess somebody went in one time and ripped a bike and wrecked it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so they don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, that's not good. Up here, yeah, I mean they're pretty. Most of the Harley dealers that I know of, if you go in and I mean, yeah, you gotta maybe be kind of like looking. As long as they know you're interested, they're pretty much ready to let you test ride anything you want. I mean, they're not, like you said, they're not gonna let you go in and just kick tires and joyride and stuff. But yeah, they're pretty open to test rides where I'm at, as long as you're interested.
Yeah, the Indian dealer near me, like I was trying just because I've noticed like with the Harley stuff, it's slowed down. But if you have any sort of Indian video right now, it gets a lot of views. And I was just personal curiosity. I was going to go over to Indian and just test drive something. They don't have anything. They're out. I'm like, they're like, we haven't gotten a new bike that we have sat on the floor, period. I go to my local Harley dealer now, full of bikes. It's like the opposite. Is like Indian, when I was looking, had a ton of bikes. Harley didn't. And now it's like they're like flip-flopping.
Now I have heard, I haven't experienced this myself, but just from people that I know that I've heard through Indian dealers, that they are more strict about test rides. I have a friend that went directly into one of our closest Indian dealers and was like, hey, I'm here, like I'm interested in a Scout. I'm ready to like buy this today. I want to take it for a ride. The guy was just like, no, we're not letting you test ride anything. And I've heard that about a couple other dealers for Indian in our area too, which seems a little strange.
Yeah, so there's a couple custom shops where I live that I'm going to go in starting next week. And I'm going to go in and do kind of like a commercial for them. No cost to them. So it's like an idea I have as my like new side hustle. So I got my drone, my camera, my GoPros, everything, all the interview, lighting, the whole shebang. Showing up at this guy's shop, tell us about your business, because he customizes pretty much any bike, but his main bread and butter is like road glides and baggers and things like that. So it should be an interesting thing. He's actually going to let me ride one. I've never rode anything, and it has the really huge like 30-inch wheel on it. So that like crazy big tire in the front. I'm kind of like nervous about it because he's like, yeah, I'll toss you. We can go for a ride. And I'm like, what if I drop this thing? Like, because the paint jobs alone is like $3 or $4 grand. He's like, that's okay. It'll be like one of my shop bikes. I'm like, all right, that's fine.
That's cool then.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these, it's like I say sometimes, a lot of these dealers, they don't. I mean, yeah, you have to you have to find someone that you trust that's going to take these bikes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they don't. A lot of them still seem to be a little behind the curve on the power of, to social medias of the IGs and the YouTubes. I mean, I'm lucky that I've kind of connected with the guy that I have become friends with and work at, or do some work with. The Harley dealer that I've been kind of riding some bikes at. He lets me record it, take it out. Hopefully, we'll continue to be doing more and more of that. But I mean, yeah, you find somebody that you trust to ride the bikes. It's free exposure. Like, it's nonsense to not have someone in your dealer that's doing that for you. Like, someone can post a post on IG or a YouTube video, and thousands of eyeballs could instantly be on your dealership.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's mind-boggling to me that some of these dealers and things, yeah, they don't understand like the way that it works and the leverage and the opportunity that's there for them. Like, to just let someone come in, take a bike out for an hour. You're not even asking for anything. Like, you just want access to the bike. Like, you don't have to pay me. You don't have to do anything. Just let someone have access to the bike, let them do their thing, and then you get all that exposure out of it. It's crazy that they still don't seem to like grasp that concept.
They don't. And like my local dealer, when I went to buy my bike, they gave me the spiel like, "Oh, Harley was shut down for 3 months. They're not making any more bikes." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm here today." And like literally, I was looking at the same bike. I think it was like Louisiana or Alabama. I can't really remember anymore. And they had it. And I was like negotiating my bike, and like I grew up in car sales with my dad, so like I'm a shrewd negotiator. Like, I'm not paying for that freight charge. I don't care that it came in a crate. You filled it with gas, you put the wheel on it, you did a little bit of a PDI inspection. Like, I'll pay you, but I'm not giving you what you want, because they wanted like $3,000 in fees. I was like, this is ridiculous. On top
On the
of
Sportster?
Yeah, on top of MSRP. I'm like, well, we put hang tags on our bike. I'm like, dude, no.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, so what? So you tell me the breakdown of all the fees before I even talk to you? That's fine. So I chewed him down, and then my wife was sitting there, and she's like, if this guy keeps going back, I'm just going to give you the $600 to go fly out to Alabama and just buy the damn bike. She was like dead set. Like, my wife was not kidding. And the guy's like, my son had went in the back and bought like a toy. And I was like, throw this in. We got a deal. So that's how it went. But that dealer, it's a joke. Like, my friend Andy bought that Road Glide, and they wouldn't find it for him. They wouldn't do a dealer trade for him, which is weird because a lot of other dealers have been getting bikes through them lately. I went online and like I found it down in Austin. I was like, Andy, let's go pick it up. And the guy was really cool. Like, I forgot my GoPro. I didn't even think about it. He's like, yeah, come down and film anytime. It's just, then again, it's like 80 miles because
right, but it's a little too far.
Yeah, it's a little too far for me.
Yeah, I guess they could all kind of be different about it, but yeah, I keep saying like like every dealer should have like a YouTuber working out of their dealership. It's ridiculous not to. It's so easy. It's such a simple thing. But like I said, you also have to have that trust with them to know that you're not going to like crash their new bikes.
Yeah, I can see that. And some dealers are like, well, how many subs do you have? And I'll go, I got less than 300. Talk to me when you have 10,000. I was like, yeah, but you see, smaller channels are the guys that like sit there and watch a lot. The larger channels, people have subbed, but they're not going to watch it a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, they should be looking more at like your views than your subs, because I mean, you can be 300 subs and put out a good video that hits, and it might get 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 views or something like that.
Yeah, they're just basically doing it off of that, and it's just weird. Like, there's a pre-owned dealership like Ride Now. It's like a chain where they have like sport bikes, ATVs, and stuff like that. And they were pretty cool with me. I have to still stop back down there and see what they have, but they were going to let me test drive some of the bikes that they can't really get rid of and kind of do reviews on that. So they get bikes in and they don't really get a choice of what they get as inventory. So it's like a dealer network, so that just gets split up. So they might get some cool like R1s or some cool Harleys. It's like sometimes they even get like a trike. They got a trike Sportster one time, or a trike V-Rod, like these weird bikes from auction. So it's like they would let me test drive like that kind of stuff, which could be cool and probably make good content at least.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It's like, you know, depending on the bike or whatever, you don't necessarily have. You can kind of think of a creative way to like position it or something. You know, like I rode that Road King. That was actually a 2020, and I was like, you know, I mean, it's 2020. Like, I don't want to do a review. But I don't really do review videos anyways. I would rather like talk more about a little bit about the experience, or like, you know, I know I have a lot of like Sportster watchers out there, Sportster follows, like, you know, what would it be like to go from this? So, I mean, even if it's not a new bike that you're going to do a review on, even if you just have access to like that stable, like that you were just talking about, you know, with that guy, all the different stuff you might have, there's different ways that you can kind of creatively position that so that it could be even more interesting than a review, for example. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can like mess around with stuff. Now, like, had that Road King been a 2021, then maybe I would have done it as a review because it's more relevant, for example,
Right.
for this year. But I was like, you know, let me just kind of like flip the script here and, you know, make it more about like a transition or experience type thing.
Definitely. So we're coming up on 45 minutes. So do you want to take a couple questions before we end the live stream?
Yeah, I'm good for a few more minutes here, actually.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you got work stuff to do. So let's see if anything rolls in. We'll give it like 5 minutes for questions. Is that okay with you?
I'll take any questions from anyone except Nevermore Moto. He's banned from questions.
So if any of you guys are into how do I put it? Things that go like this, follow this guy down here. Not so Slim Jim. I don't want to say the word, but yeah, follow him. Where do babies come from? How
The
many
stork.
more? Yeah, born and raised in Philly. That's a good question.
Born and raised
So are you
Philly?
Were you born and raised in Philly?
Not exactly. Not a not a lifer in Philly, but I've paid my dues. That's for sure.
Oh god, I can't. No question. Hold on. So why do you look like a sloth from the Goonies? From Nevermore Moto.
That's not even a question.
Tell me about your fleet business. These are weird questions.
Oh my god, those guys are goons.
Okay, I think we already answered this. Top Philly cheesesteak in Philly.
Top cheesesteak, Jim's or Delisandro's?
I've never been to either one of those.
Really?
No, so I've always like done the standard Pat's or Geno's or Tony Luke's.
All right, so here's how you order a cheesesteak. So I don't know if anybody's like, you know, the whole like shtick. I mean, it's just like a shtick thing, you know, it's just a stupid Philly thing. But a lot of people always say like, what do you get on your cheesesteak? Or like, what do you order? How do you order it? Blah, blah, blah. So you walk up and they want you to like just say what you want super quick because they're just shuffling like thousands of people through. And so if you walk up and you say, I want a steak whiz wit. So that means you get a cheesesteak whiz with onions. So you got your steak whiz wit. And if you walk up and say steak whiz without, then you got no onions. You just got your steak and your cheese. And if you walk up and say anything other than that at Pat's or Geno's, they'll just like yell at you and like kick you out of the line.
You know, I like to make it big on YouTube enough so I can actually go into what is it, Geno's little like VIP lounge, get the cheesesteak experience. But I'm not that cool. VREX Moto. Do Philly cheesesteaks actually have cheese whiz? Yeah, they do. It's called the whiz with or whiz without.
Now you can get like, I mean, you can get other cheeses like provolone and stuff like that, but people kind of knock you for that. You get some weird looks.
Yeah, I remember going after a couple of Eagles games. Give me 2 whizzes without. And like you get the big old sandwich, and you go to the next section for drinks.
Nevermore Moto, Whey, or Soy. Come on, man. You know this. It's Whey.
Oh, hold on. There was an Eagles question. I take it. This one's an Eagles question. What's your take on Alan Hurts? Yay or nay?
Oh, I got to go nay with Hurts. I don't think he's the future. I mean, I think he can maybe be a spark for a minute, but I don't think he's a long-term future option.
I stopped following the Eagles every time Wentz got hurt. I was like, I'm glad I moved. And when I did move, we actually went to the Super Bowl and we won. I'm like, go figure. I moved the one time I moved to Texas and we actually win the thing.
So you were up here not that long ago.
No, I've only been here for 3 years. So I was there when the Phillies hit the World Series. I was actually at the Core State was, what's it called? The hockey arena now. They keep changing it.
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo. I went and saw AC/DC with my dad when they toured, and it was the night before they won the World Series. So it was like, I think they lost that night. And it was the next night they won. But my dad's like, we gotta get out of here because if they win, they're greasing the poles. I'm like, all right, Dad, calm down. He's like, I'm not getting into any riots.
Oh man, they always grease the poles.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't when like the whole like rioting thing was. I was like, did they grease those poles? Like, like what's that in your job description? You have to have experience greasing poles.
Oh my God, Philly, man, it's a quirky place for sure. Everybody should get the chance to come through this place.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of history too. Like, you know, Thomas Gates, you know, was there. Rocky was there.
Rocky. Yeah,
Stallone.
man. So many just funny stories about like Philly over the years and just the people here. The people are just so hysterical here in Philly. That's why oh my God. Like I can't even explain. Nevermore Moto, where's he at? Is he still in there? He loves the Hitchbot story. You guys remember Hitchbot?
Oh yeah, the robot that was torn.
He got beat up and destroyed in Philly.
Yeah.
He was traveling. The freaking robot was traveling the country, and then of course once he gets to Philly, he just gets mauled and destroyed.
God, that was funny, and always sunny in Philadelphia, man. Every time I watch it, I'm like, and I just pure Philly, right there. Like, if you can't find it, check under the bridge at Smitty's. Like, there's always a guy under the bridge selling something. Like, sitting there in traffic, you're like trying not to look.
Oh man,
is it Rolexes or drugs? I don't know.
Oh, Philly.
All right. So I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I appreciate everybody joining the chat. It was great talking with you. Do you got anything else before we close it out?
Fucking Hitchbot. No, man. This was awesome. First live stream. Thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me on. Maybe we'll hop on again in the future sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, man. If I'm ever in the Philly area, I'll let you know. I can ride share someone's bike or something.
Right, definitely. Maybe I'll have 2 by then.
We have 2 bikes. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. And I'll let you know who's going to be in next week. Tomorrow, I have a special guest. I'm still confirming, so it'll be to be determined. But thanks for tuning in tonight, and I'll see you guys next time. Everybody have a good night.
All righty, guys. Thanks a lot.